All right, everyone. How are you doing? It is Friday, August 15th. It is 4:13 p.m. Hope you are doing well in Bremerton. Weather is a little dreary today. Sorry we're starting late, but we are here. And you can already see Miss Kathie is here with us. Kathie, how you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. How was your week?
Oh, not too bad.
Not too
Not too
bad?
bad. Just trying to stay cool.
Gotcha. You want to tell people, we haven't had a show for a minute. What was going on?
Yeah, well, last week or actually for a week and a half, I've been dealing with some kind of vertigo and balance issues, and I was having a hard time even being on screen. And so it kind of took me down a couple times. So, yeah, I just couldn't make it last Friday. I had my program kind of together, but it was okay. I just had to take it easy. A
Oh.
forced relaxation.
That happens sometimes, right? The
Yes.
body will say, hey, if you're not going to take a time out, we're going to go ahead and
Do
take
it
a
for
time
you.
out for you.
Yes.
Well, we are glad that you are here. And we're going to jump right into it since we kind of got a late start. And we're going to go ahead and just kind of recap to catch people up, right? And so we've got the Save Enetai website up, which again, for everyone, is saveenetai.org, as you can see on the screen here. And you want to recap for us?
Yeah, and so what you can see there is, and I've tried to do this a couple times, and it works out pretty good. Is um, just below some of the red type there, you'll see a date for Enetai podcast outline, August 15th. Um, it's like one of the second or third lines there,
Ah,
off
gotcha.
on the left, the larger type below. There we go. So what I did is I put together kind of like an educational packet for people. So if they want to download it or read it as we go along, um, you can go back and refer to it. And if you like to have more detail, it's good for that.
Oh,
So that's
nice.
one thing. And then the other thing up there is you'll see, and I think I might have noticed, told you all a couple weeks ago, is in Enetai is the developer put in what they call a pre-permit submittal. So it's a way for them to go to the county and meet with the different various departments and kind of show them whatever new ideas they have come up with, which they did. They came up with a new site plan and a different configuration, and they kind of just find out what codes can they bend or how far can they bend them. That's how I look at it.
Gotcha. Okay.
The county might not look at it that way, but that's how I look at it, because they're there to assist them in building what it is they want to build, and the rules. What are the rules? So um, that I guess we kind of knew. I knew this was coming because I found their survey crew out like a couple months ago and quizzed them. Whenever anybody's around surveying, I go out and I have a little chat with them to find out what's up. But so I did post there at the very beginning above that link is the county, meets. This all happened on July 22nd.
Hmm.
And so it was a developer, but also interestingly, Garrett Jackson from the city of Bremerton was at this meeting. And I'm sure it was related to the sewer, even though he's not a technical engineer or that kind of staff. So he's their PR person. That's how I look at him. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know all the details, but so he was there. So, they're in there cooking up their plans. That's what they're doing. And so what the county does is they generate a summary letter. So that is posted there. It gets a little bit technical. I really have not, I only got it 2 days ago through public records request.
Wow.
And so I post stuff as quick as I get it. I put it right up there.
So let me
So,
ask you. So you had to do a public records request for this? This isn't just
oh no,
existing somewhere.
oh no,
Hmm.
and the only reason I even found it existed is I just happened to be going in the parcel system search, which I've showed y'all before, and clicking on the permit applications and going, oh, you have to go like clicking lots of links that are buried deep that showed to me that they actually had a meeting and that this letter actually was issued. It's not posted for you to download. So then I had to hurry up, put in a public records request, and then they were pretty quick this time because they knew that I said, all my other public records requests, take them off the plate. This has priority.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So they've been pretty good about doing that. And so I only got it 2 days ago, so I've not been able to look at it in depth or to get any feedback. I sent it out to the engineer people I know, and, we're kind of looking at it. But about the big takeaway of it is that they intend to take all the stormwater from, this is just the visual of if they cut down the whole forest on the top of a slope that has a landslide all the time, that they're going to take down all the trees and then let all the stormwater get onto the shoreline. So, which doesn't make sense if you know anything about how stormwater works. And, a lot of the stormwater that comes off of 30th and Viewcrest and that whole neighborhood, it all comes down 30th Street and dumps onto this property. And I know the person who lives right adjacent to this property, and they have huge landslide problems. Part of it is because all the stormwater from all those streets are being dumped down there with no kind of retention or any kind of stormwater design. Because that 65 acres in Enetai has been untouched forever. It's never really, nobody's ever done anything with it.
So let me ask you this. We had Councilwoman Anna Mockler from District 6 on yesterday, and she was educating us about the fact that our trees are what is filtering our water. And so will that also have an impact over there in the Enetai area?
Yeah. Yeah. If they cut down all those trees, I mean, I can just only use an example of, I don't think a couple years ago when we had a freezing rain, that all that water, was on all the trees there. And when it started to melt, I happened to go for a walk out there, and it was like a rainforest. I mean, it was like raining out there from all the ice and the water that had accumulated on all the trees in there. So it would take all that away, and then in all the water that goes into the ground and into the trees, it would all be gone. I mean, they're going to put sidewalks and houses and streets. So they call that impervious surface, which is, running off. It's going to run off. And I still am not really quite sure or understand what's going on down there. The Great Peninsula Conservancy has put in grants to acquire the shoreline properties. They say they want to get the upper parcels, but all that shoreline is all really, it's considered a conservation. It's in a conservation mode by the state. That's state tidelands. It's very sensitive smelt. There's just all kinds of environmental issues on the shoreline that I don't know how they could take all that stormwater and dump it down there.
So when you say the Conservancy wants to purchase it,
yes.
So who are they? And
well, GPC or Great Peninsula Conservancy is a land trust. They're Bremerton based. And so they purchase lots of properties and put conservation over them. So they're conserved in perpetuity forever. And
so who are these people? Are they entities of the city, the county,
No, they're a nonprofit.
They're a nonprofit.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And so, people who can get some pretty hefty tax write-offs if they donate their properties to them too. So it's a vehicle to conserve properties, and people can get tax write-offs.
Interesting.
So, yeah, but as far as I know, and I haven't gotten, they tell me I've gotten all the documents. These engineers, Team 4 engineers, who is responsible for what happened in Royal Valley initially, the rezone. They're kind of known around the county for dealing with difficult properties with lots of environmental issues. They have their group of specialists that they can trust to, in my eyes, minimize environmental issues, so they can get built what they want and destroy wetlands, which is what they're doing up in Royal Valley right now. They haven't submitted any kind of document that shows how they plan to deal with this discharge of stormwater. Our stormwater engineer is highly skilled, and I don't know. He thinks that it would be just too expensive to even try to do that on this property. But
Wow.
if they can find an engineer that can write a paper that shows it will work, and I've worked with a lot of engineers, what they think in their head and what they write on a piece of paper doesn't actually pencil out in the field. And you all have seen that with all kinds of stuff around anywhere that gets built.
So Catherine, let me ask you this. Do you know who attended this meeting? Is that part of the FOIA?
Well, I do. Yes, and I didn't put that document up.
Okay.
I do know Team 4, like 3 people from Team 4 engineers attended. John Rose, who is the liaison, the real estate liaison for the developer, John Fisher, was there. And Mr. Rose actually works for Radiant up in North County, and which used to be part of Pope Resources. And he is kind of behind the whole bond rezone up in North County that has kind of got everybody in a tizzy up there.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, and then of course Garrett Jackson. Then there was, I believe, 4 staff members from the county.
From the county.
Yeah.
And then anyone from our council at all, or no?
No, in fact, the first time they had one of these, I found out about it in advance, and I wanted to attend. They wouldn't let me.
Oh, so this is a closed meeting then?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's a closed meeting. That's what they told me.
Wow.
That because the developer, they're the ones that book this, and they supposedly pay for the county's time, but they got a credit on it for their future permit, like $2,800. So that's their time. And I said, well, can I just come and observe? I won't say anything. No, they won't let me.
So how did you know? How did you find out that this meeting took place?
Going on parcel search, GIS parcel search for the county, and clicking through the different menus to see what's going on.
Wow. And then you could do a FOIA and say, okay, now I want to know what happened. And so is this ever going to reach the public for a public comment?
Well, if they put in a permit, eventually it would have to go, there would be public comment.
But it just seems like the MO is they kind of do all their work in the dark, and then by the time it comes for public comment, this is already done. And the folks that stamp off on it, hey, looks good to me. You're the experts. Boom, and off they go.
Yeah, they're all working behind the scenes.
Okay.
They're all working behind the scenes. So I'm watching. We're watching.
Good.
And I watch pretty closely. And as soon as I see something happen, I get my public records request in. So
we need some kind of a workshop to train others on where to look, how to be vigilant, and how to understand what it is that they're finding, and just understanding how the process is, how people work. Well,
yeah, because it's and I'm a map maker, so I know how to get into these GIS systems. Basically, if you have an address, you can kind of find out where stuff is. But all the different menus and stuff, if you're not used to working on computers, it can be a little bit daunting. So that's my go-to. But we also, because I live right next to the property, like I said, if I saw surveyors out on the street, I go right out there and I ask them what's going on.
Nice.
So, and then other people that live around it, I mean, people know to call me. So, yeah, we kind of have a network of people that has their eyes on this, and we share information. But so that's kind of the new thing there. Well, it's a work in process. They're playing the long game. I don't know if the developer is acting in good faith. to actually sell the property to GPC or not. I don't know. I don't understand why GPC has already been awarded like $1 million in a wetlands grant for the shoreline.
Mm-hmm.
And they're kind of in line to get another $4 million from the state. So, maybe they're just going to back out of it. I don't know. Mr. Rose has made a point to make everybody sign an NDA so they don't share any information. It's all a secret. It's all a secret. But, we hear, the drums beat throughout the county on stuff, and we're all talking to each other, where before I don't think everybody was. And so that's what's new there. The next thing, I guess, would be to, and we talked about there what a comprehensive plan is.
Mm-hmm.
Everything comes down to the comprehensive plan and zoning. And just to review, the comprehensive plan is a 20-year plan that provides a vision for the future of the community. And its basis is land use regulations and provides the community's future vision. How much our community is part of that vision is questionable. I think other people have made it their vision, and part of the comprehensive plan process, and this is where I think I wrote in there for you to put up the FutureWise's website, because FutureWise filed a suit with the Growth Management Hearing Board about the comprehensive plan, the 2024 comprehensive plan for Kitsap. And in my outline, you'll see this, all the different claims that they put in on, and it did come back that the Growth Management Hearing Board ruled some of their claims in favor of them, so it's being remanded back to the county to fix.
Wow. Okay.
And FutureWise is probably, if anybody ever wants to donate money aside from us, because we need it, but FutureWise is really one of the few organizations in this state that is watching comprehensive plan processes.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And they have a stable of lawyers and people, and they work really hard at this. And because they're watching our county, they put in this suit. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they put in for, and it goes back to what we talked to the last time, and that is failure to identify sufficient capacity for housing, especially affordable housing.
Mm.
So they will be, they succeeded, and in as far as looking at extremely low to moderate income housing. So they are putting the pressure on the county to deal with this issue. And if it weren't for them, I don't know who else would be doing this. I mean, all the different advocates around the county are rattling this cage and have been for a while, and nobody's doing anything because there's no funding to do it, and the developers don't want to do it because they don't make enough money. So it's I'm really glad to see that they have done this, and the link is up on our website that shows the suit, the final decision that's come back, if you really like to read in-depth legal stuff.
Let me pull that up really quick.
Yeah.
Here goes the final decision in order.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm pulling that up, hey, shout out to Mike for tuning in. And he says, how are they allowed to do all of this in secret and without public input? And I think basically what Kathie was saying is, NDAs and kind of having these meetings, and they don't have to, it appears, until they get to the permitting process. So
that's right.
They would have to change the procedures either at the county level or city level or wherever to make sure that there's transparency and inclusiveness from the gate.
Well, and this is all pre-planning.
Mm-hmm.
See, they put all their ducks in a row before they get to the final stage. And I only found out about the GPC grants because I happened to be doing some digging online under Enetai, and I found it and I went, what? So those are state and federal grants. They can't hide those. So if they put in a grant application, that's public knowledge. So, or public access. So, we've kind of found the different ways to find out stuff. It's not perfect, but it is what it is. That's how they play the game. There's a core group of what we call the developer cartel in this county that are flipping properties left and right and making all kinds of money. It's in fact, I got to share this one story for you. A
Please
friend of
do.
mine who lives in Illahee has 18 acres.
Mm.
And she says gets calls or letters every day about developers wanting to buy her property.
Every day.
Every day.
Wow.
And I know the folks up in Royal Valley are getting these kind of things too to buy their property. And so she got a new one. This one came out of Bellevue and it was different. And she saved it because it was a different take. And I think this is something when I mentioned about along the 303 corridor up around Fairgrounds that somebody put in for a permit for a senior housing, like luxury senior housing.
Mm-hmm.
And I did some digging into all the documents that were submitted. And this is what I think happened is she got a letter from these people saying, we will buy your property at 30% above, like once we get all the permitting. So they basically, the homeowner, the parcel owner signs a thing saying, okay, I'll agree to take 30% or whatever price they negotiate. They let that entity go through the permitting process to see how it flushes out. And then they're offering to pay that homeowner that money.
Gotcha. Okay.
So they are actively seeking out large parcels in this county to even do the pre-permitting. They kind of go in and they get a feel for whether it can pencil out. They even do the environmental reports. They go to great lengths to see if they can actually make it pencil out.
Mm.
So, and it's happening a lot. It's all about money. I mean, they're offering them the big dollars, and she's like a senior, and thinking about her death in the future, and
Mm-hmm.
it's people might jump at those offers,
Yeah,
those big
absolutely.
dollars. So anyways, I think that FutureWise is doing our county a huge service. And the only other people I think is Kitsap Environmental Coalition.
Okay.
They have working groups that have studied for the past 2 years, like the critical area ordinances, or they get working groups to study different pieces of the comprehensive plan process. And so the county says that they have this public participation plan and these workshops, and we all give our input. And we did heavily on the critical area stuff. And in my experience, all that heavy work and heavy lifting by the community that participates in this,
Mm-hmm.
it goes ignored. It's like preset the path, what's going to happen.
And the thing that frustrates me, Kathie, is I'm gonna use the word weaponizing the language of folks under the unhoused and affordable housing and public safety, and in order to get these properties and develop, and then none of those things are actually addressed, and then we continue, the situation gets worse, right? So as we're easing up the permitting process and giving tax breaks to developers, we don't seem to be decreasing homelessness or having housing prices go down. It's just the opposite. And it's like, we're just gonna just keep on doing it and going for it. And someone has to first, again, call it out. And then we need to get leadership in these positions that are going to say, no, we're not doing that. Right?
Exactly. Yeah,
it really feels like being held hostage. It's like, well, if you want us to build, right, it doesn't pencil out for us. We we'd love to do this for you and help you out. And this is an issue, but we're going to need our pound of flesh to do this. And
well, yeah, it's all, yeah, we'll build it, but you got to pay us. I still got to wonder about the one at Sylvan Way, that new one that with the yellow on it, how that got built. And then I think Kitsap Resources bought the building.
And just to be clear, for anyone that wants to be intellectually dishonest, no one is saying that people shouldn't get paid for their labor and their work.
No.
However, you should not be gouging your own residents in order to do so.
Well, and they're gouging local, state, and state grants, which are taxes that get paid.
And the future of our city, right?
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to. Mike has another comment in the chat. He says, how can we find grants to actually help in affordable housing?
Well, that's the problem, is there's been all kinds of cutbacks.
Mm-hmm.
And as if you've all heard, our state isn't in great shape. There's all kinds of cutbacks going everywhere. So there just isn't enough money. There's not enough funding. There's plenty of developers to build developments, though.
Right.
So that's really the issue, is the funding to build affordable housing.
And it's kind of that thing of, it takes money to make money. So
Yes.
the developers can afford to come in and build, and you can go ahead and pay us in the form of tax breaks for 8 years, and then come back and get another slice of the apple, and then some. Which is why my answer to that question is, labor tends to be about half of the cost in almost everything that you do from a business standpoint. It's like, hey, if we did Habitat for Humanity type modeling on steroids and having the many hands make light work attitude, then we can have labor come in and not only have them do the building, but also train them and certify them to become the electricians and the carpenters and the plumbers and the general contractors and the developers, and build that within our city and make livable wages for the people that already live here.
Like
right?
Apprenticeship programs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or, God forbid, to think that some of these developer cartels that have made so much money around here and are wealthy, mega wealthy, is why can't they do something good for the community? Can't they build one project that's affordable housing?
Well, and not saying that, we're going to build this project, and I hope this is answering your question, Mike, so how do we have solutions? I'm a solution oriented person, right? So saying, hey, we're going to build this unit and or this complex, and 20% is going to be affordable, which actually isn't affordable, but it's still only 20%. 5 units, 1 is affordable. 100 units, 20 are affordable. You're not putting a dent in the issue that we have. That model at the minimum would need to be flipped, where 4 are affordable and 1 is at the price that they're trying to set. So that's what you'd have to do just to try to offset it. But when you just make these incremental changes, if you were to say, okay, well, we'll do 40% or we'll do 60%, we know that's not keeping up. This is what's happening here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's going so fast, we can't get ahead of it, right? There's no way to catch up unless we do something radical that resets the table as much as possible to catch up a little bit, right? And it would be nice to get back here and then have it go this way, where folks are actually living above, right? Many folks that are listening get COLAs, cost of living increases, and that helps them to survive and deal with the inflation, right? But everyone doesn't have that benefit or that luxury. Mike says, you don't think if enough of the nonprofit groups, churches, and housing authorities work together, we could come up with a way to work together and find solutions? So here's my thought on that, and then Kathie, you'll answer this as well. I work with a lot of different nonprofits. That includes churches and housing authorities, and they already do a lot of work together. However, churches are strained, right? Churches are made up of residents who are trying to survive, who were dealing with the $7 eggs and the gas prices and everything else. And so with churches, much of their money comes in through tithes and offering. Well, if the people don't have tithes and offering to give, or give at that same capacity, right, then the church's ability to help, especially help outside of their own congregation, becomes extremely limited and challenging. COVID really wiped out a lot of that ability for churches to, provide gas money, to pay rent, to do a lot of the things that they were doing pre-COVID, right? So unless you're a well-to-do church, and I can tell you, there's a lot of small churches in Bremerton. If you drive around, right, there's in East Bremerton, especially, or West Bremerton, there's church like on every block, right? I mean, it's pretty cool to see just kind of that history of it. But, these are congregations of maybe 20, 40, 50 people. They're very small. So it's very difficult to do. And their members are struggling and need help, right? And then with the housing authorities, right, you've got cutbacks there, and they're doing what they can. Our Bremerton Housing Authority has great leadership with Jill Stanton, and they are purchasing properties and trying to do some things and make change. But it is difficult, right? They don't have an endless pocketbook to just build a bunch of affordable housing and then subsidize it all. So, those are a lot of the challenges. You want to weigh in on that, Kathie?
No, I think they're just barely scratching the surface. There's just not enough of it happening. We're already at a deficit.
Mm-hmm.
And then now with all the cutbacks, it's almost like circling the drain in a way.
And the other thing that I'll say about this before we move on is oftentimes we want to be able to be in the power position where we make choice, right? And we have not made this choice. We have not made the correct choices for several years now. And so what we have been doing, I think, from a political standpoint for our leadership is kicking the can down the road. The next administration will have to deal with that at every single level. So instead of making the hard decision and saying, hey, we're going to have to tighten our belt and we're going to have to do something radical, they're going to wait until there is no choice and then just tell the people, hey, look, it's not me. There's nothing I can do, right? If you look at the executive order that the president put out last week, right? The executive order with the unhoused, right? Our local politicians are able to say, and this can be any state or city now across the country, hey, you know what? The president put this executive order out. My hands are tied. I've just got to follow the ordinance or the law that's been put down by the president. And that's what it is, right? So now you're being forced to do something instead of making the decision and the choice to say, hey, it's going to be a little tight. This is what we need to do. We need to, find our own solutions and get ourselves out of that.
Yeah, it's being proactive versus reactive.
Absolutely, which leaves you with little choice when you're reacting, right? Because hey, there's nothing else we can do.
And then when you're being reactive, you don't plan well.
And you don't have enough resources for all the other things that still need to be done, right? Because you drive around Bremerton, our roads are horrible, right? You just see all these different issues, and it's like, okay, so what's the priority? A lot of this stuff is the priority. Mike says, I would like to hear more ideas leading to solutions. I know we can brainstorm and figure out a way to fix this. Absolutely. And I was saying this yesterday in my interview with Anna, right? We need the many voices to come to the table. The ideas obviously have not manifested from the current voices that are being heard. So if we have some new voices at the table, someone else is going to come up with an idea that maybe hasn't been thought of. And it's like, okay, you know what? We're going to have to take our medicine. It's a little bit bitter. Let's try this. It's a big swing. I know what I'm saying sounds radical, but I'd rather make the decision and self-tighten our belt and do it with choice versus having to do it and then really being stuck and having a serious crisis on our hand, which we already currently have. Touche.
I mean, I like you mentioned it, I think the last time about, it really is a concept of rent to own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I really think that's a good idea.
Well, it just doesn't make any sense. If the housing authority is going to subsidize the rent and pay $1,500, $1,800 a month for a family that's going to be in there for a generation, why not make it a mortgage and let them then solidify that family forever? And if they want to move into a bigger house or leave and take a job in another state, then the housing authority has first right of refusal to rebuy the property. You can bake that in, and then they can stabilize another family as that family moves on, moves up, or moves out of the city or the state.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea myself.
All right. So Mike loves ideas. I do too, right? We can complain about things, we can state the problem, and we do need to state the problem, but we do need to be solution oriented. And so I do try to provide solutions as much as possible. And Kathie is definitely providing solutions, right? And she brings the receipts, and she brings a lot of receipts. So, we definitely appreciate that. So we got a few more minutes. I just wanted to make sure that we kind of got through as much as we can. We talked about the FutureWise lawsuit versus Kitsap and their final decision. Where can people find that? I put the link in there, but if that's something that they wanted to look up on their own,
it's all on our website.
Okay, it's all on the website. But if they were like looking at something that was in their neighborhood or something else, like how do they start to get their fingers to, being detectives and uncovering some of the stuff on their own?
It comes down to using the Kitsap County GIS parcel search.
Gotcha. Okay.
And you just go in there and you click, put your address in. This is how I do it, unless I know the address where I'm looking, is I put my own address in, and then from there you can scroll all around the whole county, wherever you want to go. So you can look at your own neighborhood and see, oh, somebody got a permit up on, up the road. You can go and look that stuff up and find out.
Yeah. Mike says, I sure wish I was rent to own. And I know where you're at, Mike. And see, wouldn't that be perfect to empower that entire complex with home ownership while it's being subsidized? Everyone is secure. They can, work on doing what it is they can in their fixed incomes. Hey, maybe I can, retrain or do some things and help to contribute in the ways that I want to. I can pass my skills on, whether it's to children or to adults, or there's just so many different things, instead of having people still be in a state of survivor and uncertainty of what's going to happen, as, hey, my fixed income is not keeping up with the cost of living either, right? And so am I going to be, how secure am I? What am I going to have to do? Man, understanding that you own it, would just be a really powerful thing. And I think it just kills a lot of birds with one stone.
Yeah, I think it's a good piece of a solution.
And we don't like killing birds. I had to find another one. Is there another saying besides killing two birds with one stone?
Well, it's kind of like something like skinning a cat,
Wow. Which one is worse?
Yeah.
They're both pretty bad. So we have to find a happier one. All right, having your strawberries and your watermelon too. I don't know, something more friendly.
Something better. Yeah, we'll have to think of that one.
Well, so what are the other things that we wanted to touch on?
Kind of the next one really is what I wanted to cover was, I don't know if we'll get to much of it at this point, is water.
Okay.
There's a lot going on with water right now, and I don't know if and I didn't even know this till I started looking it up, is the Department of Ecology. And if you pull up the figures that I gave you,
okay,
you'll see a map of or the website will show that there's actually 20 different counties or watersheds right now that are under a drought advisory in the state.
All right.
I was not aware of that.
20 in yeah, that's actually surprising here in the state of Washington. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so it let's see. It is, I'm been looking for all my I lost track of my where I have all my notes.
We're talking about this map here, right? So
Washington drought. So that shows you right there. And then in my outline, it has the exact link to go to the Department of Ecology that shows all those different counties or watersheds. And so a legal drought emergency is declared when water supply conditions are expected to fall below 75% of average. And there is potential for undue hardships due to low water.
Gotcha.
So this is, kind of scary. And it brings us to, again, development in the county.
Right.
And the Kitsap Sun had an article on 728. I have the link in there. And that talks about how some of the water districts around the county are actually concerned about this growth. This is something that we are concerned about. Poulsbo went under a water conservation advisory a little while back. And I know that with all the development, that's our big concern along Bremerton has plenty of water, at least for now, but it doesn't last forever. And the North Perry water is the one that covers most of East Bremerton. And we have had some pretty serious concerns about their ability to meet the capacity of all these new developments. And, they've told us, as far as Enetai, oh, yeah, we have plenty of water. They've told Royal Valley, who's putting in 800 units, oh, yeah, we have plenty of water to serve all these new developments. Well, that's what they told us, but they told the Kitsap Sun they're actually concerned about it.
And I'm going to pull that article up. And one of the things that I'm concerned about is we have all this projected growth. Yes. And if that is the case, how are we, if we're having water problems now, what's going to happen when we have all of this growth?
Well, that's the concern. And I think that's why I kind of put together these graphics, talking about our aquifers. And like this, for example, that you're showing, this is a watershed right here. That's the Enetai watershed and the Illahee Creek watershed. So this is like, brings us to home what a watershed is. And there's about 60 different watersheds in the state. And so here you go. I mean, they're talking about it now. That means it's a problem.
And just to show you, this was updated July 28th, 2025, right? Yes. This isn't old. This is fresh. This is new. This is a current problem, right?
Yes, it is. And there's a big question about, I know that because we pulled the documents through public records from Perry Water, that I think they're approved for like 10,500 connections. They're currently somewhere around 9,500-ish. That's just an approximate number. So if they're going to be adding, 2,500, 3,000 units just from Rydell up to Island Lake, that's a lot of connections. So we're, at some point, and I tried to, the water doesn't last forever. And I think the big thing is to know around that Kitsap County does not rely on water from the snow melt. Everything that we rely on, we're like an island. We're surrounded by salt water. So our water is from the rain and the precipitation. And a lot of that rain that's coming down is being flushed out our creeks, like Enetai and Illahee Creek. And it's all unfiltered water that's going into the Puget Sound. I know way more about stormwater than I ever want to know, but so it's kind of scary. But to know that, like right now, I can just judge with Enetai Creek because we've had less water this year in April. That's why we're having a problem with water right now. And so if this gets worse, what are we going to do? I mean, it's kind of like what we're trying to do is pushing the county. You need to study our water capacity. And I think this is something that the state is starting to look at, is not just water quality, but water quantity. And when they start sucking the water out of the aquifers and there's not enough groundwater recharging these, and hopefully you like my little charts that I put together. I tried to find simple ones for people to understand how what are aquifers, what's groundwater. There's some pretty good pictures of, if you go like above that one, go there we go. Like that picture right there, that is like a basin. That's like a watershed.
Gotcha. Okay. And so we're watching how it kind of flows down from the rain.
Yeah.
You
and
see the watershed divide here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then you go above that, the next one. that's aquifers. That's how our water it go, and you can see the different depths of wells, like people's wells, like private wells, versus like a water purveyor that goes deeper into the aquifer and sucks out more water. And I know that in Royal Valley, where they want to put in these 800 units, all the people are, North Perry services that area, that new area, is all those farms that are around that area are on private wells.
Mm.
And so what starts happening when they pull the water out to service all those 800 homes? What's going to happen to their wells? And they're worried about it. And the county did not require the developer to even do a water study to figure this out. And then we've got all the 12 developments that are going down Wheaton Way. Nobody, the county is not, I don't know, they're not looking at this stuff. And it comes down to the same thing, proactive or reactive. What's going to happen when the water runs out?
So why don't we do this? Let's pick up with this next Friday.
Okay.
And what we'd like to do is, Martita, will you grab that for me? Grab that door for me. What I'd like to do is, we're going to frame the question here, and it doesn't seem like anyone is asking this question. We have growth that's happening. We have water issues currently, right? Mm-hmm. Which we just saw in the article. We have all of this projected growth. And so who is looking at, all right, yes, we have this projected growth. Do we have enough water? What is that number of people that we can actually grow to that is going to be safe, where we're going to be recharging the aquifer so that we have a Bremerton and a Kitsap County that is viable for, the next generations to come? Because I don't think anyone is presenting that, right? Like, we can grow to 30,000 more people here, which results in 20,000 homes. Like, whatever that equation is, I don't hear anyone speaking in those numbers. And then what are we doing to make sure that we don't go past that number? And then how do we do this? I think that's where I'd like to start and kind of go over this a little bit more in depth. I love this chart here, which really kind of expresses what this looks like. I was telling Anna in school, I didn't learn about this. And so this is, it's fun now.
I like visuals.
Man, as a kid, this is boring. But, as an adult, and now that I understand how it impacts me and my daughter and whatnot, it's critical. Mike says, isn't this all stuff they have to consider before giving permits to developers? Kathie, if you want to answer that.
Well, you'd think that they would, but they didn't with Royal Valley.
And that's part of the fight, right? And Mike says, I thought this was basic stuff they did prior to permits and building. And part of it is money kind of gets what it wants, right? So folks come in and say, hey, overlook this, or we'll do this. I think there was a conversation about this a few weeks ago with us where, if there's a protected land or wetland, they can say, hey, we're going to go ahead and build here, but we'll go ahead and invest and help this wetland over there. And that's kind of how they can kind of get around these things. Right?
Except for what they do to mitigate is almost nothing. There's literally out in the middle of where Minder Farms was, where the corn maze was. Mm-hmm. Their mitigation, there's a 20 by 20 foot section that has an orange fence around it, and then they've ruined they've compacted all the soils around it, and that's their mitigation. It's like, how can that even remain a wetland out there in the middle of all that? I guess the only thing, some of it has to do with COVID. It wasn't just COVID, but Department of Community Development at the county has had a 94% turnover in the past 3 years.
Wow.
So you have a lot of green people, inexperienced people, probably people in positions that are not qualified to be there, not enough highly qualified people, and then COVID, and it's has functioned so dysfunctionally that these developers are coming in and they're taking advantage. And so this kind of stuff, why it got through is beyond me in Royal Valley, that there would not be a water study. It should be happening through the whole corridor. It really should be. But before we go next week, you know, in my notes there is a thing that we found. It's called it's an excellent primer on water, and there's a link to it. And I would suggest everybody read that before next week.
Okay. All right.
Because
So that is your homework
yes.
to read the primer. I'm going to pop that up. I'm going to put it in the chat. Again, all of this great information is on the website, saveenetai.org. Please check it out if you have not checked it out. And if you're looking to protect your own neighborhood, that's a good way. If you're a kinesthetic learner and you need to learn by doing, you can follow and trace the steps that Kathie and others have done, and then you can apply that to your own neighborhood. Here is what that webpage looks like, and there is the link there.
And it's really easy to understand. It's like layman's explanation. I mean, I learned so much about it. This is in Colorado, by the way, but it does apply to our area.
And so we will touch on that next Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel for all of those that know that reference. Kathie, as always, I appreciate you coming. Mike says this is very frustrating to me. We need to get more of the general public involved so they know what's really going on and they can vote accordingly. And this is what it's all about, right, Mike? Last year, I wasn't doing any of this because I didn't know any of this. And so by, offering this platform up to more people, we learn more, right? You and I are learning together. Other people are also watching and learning together. And then we can empower ourselves and make that change. So again, thank you everyone for tuning in. For Kathie, I am Marwan. This is The Conduit. As always, take care of yourself. Take care of each other. In 25 minutes, we have Charlando con Martita. Do make sure that you tune into that. And for everyone else, we will see you next time.